Before you pick up another ready meal snack or loaf of bread from Asda, you need to hear this. Many products sitting quietly on those shelves contain additives that Europe has already banned. Ingredients scientists say may damage DNA, disrupt hormones, or increase long-term cancer risk. They look harmless on the label, but the story behind them is very different. Here in the UK, several of these chemicals are still considered legal, and that's where the contradiction begins. Europe says these substances are too dangerous for its citizens. British families are still eating them every day without realizing it. What makes this even more concerning is how these ingredients affect older adults. As we age, our liver and kidneys don't clear toxins as efficiently. Chemicals that a younger person might process quickly can linger longer in a senior's bodies and increasing inflammation, stressing vital organs, and gradually raising the risk of chronic disease. In this investigation, we will uncover 12 banned in Europe ingredients still found in Asda products, why they're considered risky, and how to protect yourself. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to avoid and what to choose instead. To understand why these ingredients are still appearing in everyday Asda products, we need to look at the wider system behind food regulation, supermarket manufacturing, and consumer behavior. For many years, the European Union enforced some of the strictest food safety standards in the world. When an additive showed potential to damage DNA, disrupt hormones, or build up in the body over time, Europe often applied the precautionary principle, meaning if there's reasonable doubt, they ban it until proven safe. After Brexit, the UK began operating under a different regulatory framework, while the Food Standards Agency still monitors safety. Many rules that were once aligned with Europe no longer apply automatically. This has created a gap where certain chemicals banned across Europe remain legal and widely used in UK processed foods. Supermarkets rely on these additives because they extend shelf life, improve color, enhance texture, or make products appear fresher than they really are. For manufacturers, small changes in appearance or longevity can save millions of pounds. Consumer psychology also plays a role. Many shoppers trust familiar brands, assuming that if a product looks clean, bright, or long-lasting, it must be high quality. That assumption is exactly what marketing teams depend on. Additives, such as whitening agents, dough conditioners, and artificial dyes, are used not for nutrition, but for visual appeal, what you might call cosmetic engineering. These tricks can be especially misleading for older adults who may have grown up in a time when food was simpler and less processed, and who may not be accustomed to reading complex ingredient lists. There's another issue rarely discussed: cumulative exposure. A single biscuit with titanium dioxide or a single bowl of cereal with BHT may not cause immediate harm, but eating small amounts of these chemicals every day for years or decades creates a slow buildup. For seniors whose liver function, kidney filtration, and immune response naturally decline with age, this accumulation can worsen inflammation, interfere with metabolism, and elevate the risk of chronic disease. This investigation isn't about creating fear. It's about transparency. It's about understanding why banned chemicals continue to show up in UK supermarket products, and why older adults in particular need clear, reliable information to make safer choices for themselves and their families. 12. Titanium dioxide, E-1. Titanium dioxide is added to biscuits, sweet sauces, and gums to create a clean, bright white color that makes products appear fresher than they really are. Many shoppers assume this whiteness means purity, but Europe banned the additive in 2022 after scientists raised concerns about its ability to damage DNA. For years, manufacturers promoted it as a simple color enhancer, yet the European Food Safety Authority concluded there is no safe level of exposure. E-171 contains nanoparticles that can enter cells and accumulate in organs, fueling inflammation, a key driver of heart disease, arthritis, diabetes, and several cancers affecting older adults. Despite this packaging, simply lists titanium dioxide, offering no warning of long-term harm. It adds nothing nutritional and exists only for appearance, making it one of the easiest additives to avoid by choosing products without artificial whitening agents. 11. Potassium bromate. Potassium bromate helps bread rise taller and achieve a soft, fluffy texture, which is why it appears in some packaged bread rolls and pizza dough. Although Europe banned it back in 1990, the UK still permits limited use. Bakeries adopted it decades ago to speed up production and create consistent results. but multiple studies show it can cause kidney and thyroid tumors in animals. Even though manufacturers insist it bakes off, independent tests frequently detect traces in finished bread. The compound generates oxidative stress that damages cells, a process that accelerates aging and raises disease risk. Seniors who often experience slower kidney filtration and hormonal changes face higher vulnerability. Meanwhile, labels highlight soft or fresh without revealing the chemical methods behind these textures. If potassium bromate appears on an ingredient list, choosing another bread is the safest option. 10. Azotocarbonamide (ADA). Azotocarbonamide, widely known as ADA, is used in commercial bakeries to make dough stretchier and bread softer. What most people don't realize is that the same chemical is also used in foam plastics, including yoga mats. Europe banned it, yet it continues to show up in some UK baked goods. It became popular because it helps large bakeries maintain speed and uniformity. When heated, ADA breaks down into compounds linked to potential cancer risks, and it is also a respiratory sensitizer, meaning it can irritate airways and trigger breathing problems. That's especially concerning for seniors with asthma, COPD, or reduced lung capacity. Marketing focuses on the bread's softness or long shelf life, but these qualities often depend on ADA rather than natural baking methods. If this additive appears on a package, it's best avoided. 9. Synthetic artificial dyes. Bright colors make cereals, drinks, sweets, and snacks more appealing, which is why artificial dyes like Red 40, Yellow 5, and Yellow 6 are still used in many Asda products. Europe either restricts or requires warning labels for several of these dyes, but the UK still allows widespread use. These dyes originated because manufacturers wanted to make foods more visually exciting, especially for children. Yet research links them to hyperactivity in kids and potential cancer concerns in adults. Because they are derived from petroleum, the liver must process them, and liver efficiency naturally decreases with age. Older adults exposed to dyes over long periods may experience additional immune and inflammatory stress. Labels often hide them under names like tartrazine or Allura Red, making them difficult to recognize. Choosing foods with natural colorants is a safer alternative. 8. BHA and BHT. BHA E320 and BHT E321 preserve flavor by preventing fats from spoiling in cereals, crisps, crackers, and even chewing gum. Europe restricts both because of cancer concerns, yet they remain common in UK products. These preservatives became industry favorites because they extend shelf life dramatically and reduce food waste. However, the U.S. National Toxicology Program classifies BHA as reasonably anticipated to be a human carcinogen. Both chemicals accumulate in body fat and are processed slowly, a particular problem for older adults whose liver function naturally declines. Long-term exposure has been associated with liver inflammation, a serious issue for seniors. Marketing highlights crispness and freshness, but rarely the additives behind it. Products listing E320 or E321 should be swapped for simpler alternatives. 7. Brominated vegetable oil (BVO). BVO is used in some citrus-flavored drinks to prevent the flavor from separating. Europe banned it in 2008, but it can still appear in UK soft drinks. Manufacturers relied on it because it kept beverages looking stable and uniform on store shelves. BVO contains bromine, which can build up in fat tissues and led to symptoms such as memory issues, tremors, and confusion. These symptoms overlap with what many seniors attribute to normal aging, which makes them harder to identify. Cases of bromism have been documented after long-term consumption. Labels typically don't highlight the presence of BVO, so consumers assume citrus drinks are harmless. Checking labels before buying citrus-flavored beverages is essential. 6. Propylparaben E217. Propylparaben extends the shelf life of packaged baked goods, including muffins, tortillas, and snack cakes. Although Europe banned it from food in 2006 due to hormone disruption concerns, it can still be found in UK products. Parabens have been used for decades because they're inexpensive and effective. But research shows propylparaben can interfere with hormone balance and may contribute to breast cancer and reproductive issues. Seniors who already experience shifts in estrogen and testosterone are especially vulnerable to hormone disruption. Products containing E217 often present themselves as wholesome or fresh, hiding the preservatives behind the scenes. Avoiding propylparaben is as simple as choosing less processed bakery items. 5. RBST, digestion dairy. Some dairy sold in UK stores may come from cows treated with RBST, a synthetic hormone used to boost milk production. Europe, Canada, and Japan banned these hormones long ago, but milk from treated cows can still enter UK supply chains. Farmers originally used RBST to increase output, but the hormone also raises levels of IGF-1, a growth factor linked to breast, prostate, and colon cancers. For older adults already at higher risk for these conditions, additional hormone exposure is concerning. Labels often say, fresh British milk without revealing whether synthetic hormones were used. Only organic or specifically labeled RBST-free dairy fully avoids the risk. 4. Ractopamine in meat. Ractopamine is a growth drug added to some pork, beef, and turkey feed to produce leaner cuts of meat. More than 160 countries, including all of Europe, ban it outright. The UK does not. Producers adopted ractopamine to increase profit margins by producing more meat in less time. Yet research shows it can raise heart rate, elevate blood pressure, and increase stress hormone levels. For older adults with cardiovascular issues, exposure can be particularly dangerous. Meat labels do not disclose ractopamine use, meaning consumers often buy these products without knowing what's inside. Organic meat is the most reliable way to avoid this additive. 3. Olestra. Olestra is a fat substitute once promoted as a calorie-free solution in fat-free snacks. Although rarely used today, it remains legal in the UK, even though Europe banned it due to severe digestive side effects. Olestra passes through the body without being absorbed, but it also carries away essential vitamins A, D, E, and K. These vitamins are especially important for seniors, supporting bone strength, vision, immunity, and blood clotting. The FDA even required warning labels stating that Olestra could cause cramps and diarrhea. Fat-free marketing hides these risks, making it critical to avoid products listing Olestra or Olean. 2. High fructose corn syrup, HFCS. HFCS is a cheap sweetener found in soft drink cereals, sauces, yogurts, and baked goods. Europe heavily restricts its production, but the UK still uses it widely. Manufacturers prefer HFCS because it enhances flavor and extends shelf life. However, decades of research link it to obesity, fatty liver disease, and insulin resistance. HFCS is metabolized differently from sugar. It goes straight to the liver, where excess fructose is converted into fat. Seniors who already face slower metabolism and higher diabetes risk are particularly vulnerable. Labels disguise HFCS under names like glucose fructose syrup, making it harder to spot. Choosing products without added sweeteners is the safest approach. 1. GM, ingredients, and glyphosate residues. After Brexit, the UK relaxed regulations on genetically modified soy and corn. These ingredients now appear in oils, cereals, breads, snacks, and processed meats sold by major retailers. The concern is not only the genetic modification itself, but also the heavy pesticide use associated with GM crops. Glyphosate residues often remain in finished food products, and long-term exposure has been linked to increased risks of cancer, neurological decline, and Parkinson's disease. Seniors process toxins more slowly, meaning these chemicals accumulate over time. Most packaging does not reveal whether GM crops were used unless the product is labeled organic or non-GMO, leaving consumers unaware of what they're eating. Choosing organic options is the most effective way to reduce exposure. Among all the ingredients uncovered in this investigation, one stands out as the most concerning for older adults: ractopamine, a growth drug used in pork, beef, and turkey production. While several additives on this list raise long-term health questions, ractopamine poses a more immediate risk because it directly affects the heart and nervous system. What makes this issue particularly troubling is the scale of the global response. More than 160 countries, including every nation in the European Union, have banned ractopamine outright. They determined that the drug's potential to raise heart rate, increase blood pressure, and trigger stress responses was too dangerous to ignore. Despite this, the UK still allows meat from animals treated with ractopamine to be sold in supermarkets. There is no labeling requirement, no front-of-pack disclosure, and no simple way for shoppers to know whether the pork or beef they buy contains drug residues. This lack of transparency is a sharp contrast to international standards. When China tested imported pork in recent years, ractopamine residues were detected at levels significant enough to prompt a complete ban on shipments. Russia followed with similar restrictions, citing concerns over cardiovascular effects. For seniors, this matters deeply. Many older adults already manage high blood pressure, irregular heart rhythms, or reduced cardiovascular resilience. Introducing a beta-agonist drug originally designed to alter an animal's physiology adds unnecessary strain to a system that may already be compromised. The danger lies not only in each individual meal, but in the cumulative, unmonitored exposure over time. And because consumers are not told when ractopamine is used, the risk is essentially invisible. This is why ractopamine stands as the most urgent finding of this investigation. It represents a global health warning that much of the world has acted on, yet British shoppers remain largely unaware. Understanding the risks behind these additives is only the first step. The next step, and the most important, is learning how to shop safely and confidently. The good news is that avoiding many of these harmful ingredients is easier than it seems once you know what to look for. The first skill every consumer should develop is reading labels carefully. Start by scanning for specific markers: E171 for titanium dioxide, E320 and E321 for BHA and BHT, E217 for propylparaben, and familiar dye codes like E102, E110, and E129. These numbers are often hidden deep in long ingredient lists, but identifying them becomes quicker with practice. Be cautious with vague terms such as artificial color, dough conditioner, or glucose-fructose syrup, as they often signal the presence of additives you may want to avoid. Choosing safer alternatives is also straightforward. Organic meat and dairy are produced without ractopamine or synthetic growth hormones, making them a reliable option for older adults concerned about cardiovascular or hormone-related risks. Similarly, organic or non-GMO labeled processed foods reduce exposure to pesticide residues linked to neurological and immune issues. When shopping for bread, cereals, and baked goods, opt for products with short, simple ingredient lists, ideally those you recognize from a home kitchen. Older adults may also benefit from practical habits that reduce long-term exposure. Prioritize fresh foods over heavily processed items. Store products properly to maintain freshness without relying on preservatives, and check expiration dates to avoid items kept on shelves for extended periods. In the supermarket, compare labels across similar products. You'll often find a cleaner version with fewer additives at the same price. Small, consistent changes create meaningful protection over time. With clearer labels, safer alternatives, and informed choices, you can significantly reduce your exposure to chemicals that Europe has already decided are not worth the risk. This investigation uncovered a reality many shoppers never expected: a range of additives banned across Europe still appear in everyday products on Asda's shelves. Some affect hormones, others influence the heart, and many contribute to long-term inflammation, an issue already challenging for older adults. While each ingredient carries its own risks, the greater concern is cumulative exposure over years of routine consumption. Understanding what goes into your food is no longer optional. It is a form of self-protection, especially for families and seniors managing health conditions. Supermarkets and manufacturers may not always disclose the full story, but informed consumers can make safer choices. By recognizing these chemicals and choosing cleaner alternatives, you take an important step towards safeguarding your health and your family's well-being. Before we finish, I'd like to hear your perspective. Which ingredient on this list surprised you the most, and have you ever noticed any of them on labels while shopping at Asda or other supermarkets? Your comment may help other families stay informed. If you want to protect your health and stay updated on new investigations about food safety and consumer products, consider subscribing so you never miss an important report. Thank you for spending your time with this analysis. Your awareness is the first step towards safer choices for yourself and your loved ones.